Hi, my name is Awele, as a lot of you already know, and I want to talk to you about something I feel strongly about. As many of you already know, there are a lot of things I feel strongly about, but this is something very close to heart. Now, I would like to start this speech with a question. What do you know about Africa? When someone speaks about Africa, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Could it be poverty? Impoverished children, dirty, rainy kids around the streets with flies and fleas all over their body, corruption at every corner, a wasteland even? Or is the first thing that comes to your mind beautiful, lush landscapes, countries rich in culture and biodiversity, places rich in natural resources such as gold, delicious foods, exotic animals? Either way, these are merely stereotypes that offer a very narrow view on a rich and varied continent. But here's another question. Do you take up, without independent research, what the media sells to you about Africa? Focusing on the numbers of impoverished children living in mud houses and on the streets, along with corruption and undeveloped areas? Or have you thought of taking a trip to any of the cities in Africa, like Lagos, Accra, Abuja, Nairobi, Djibouti City, Cape Town, etc.? Have you taken time to learn any of the languages, immersed yourself in the culture, and widened your perspective? Do you truly recognize the fact that Africa is not a country, but a continent consisting of 54 different nations, each with their own different flags, and not generalize the term by saying things like people in Africa? Now please understand, I am not here to accuse nor call out any racist or ignorant behaviors in a highly educated school, but rather add perspective and confront some, if any, falsely based mindsets about African countries. So today I would like to focus on one country in particular, that being Nigeria. Lots of you, apart from the actual Nigerians here, might already know quite a bit about the country. You might have even heard of common phrases from the social media. Some of these common phrases are no wahala, meaning no problem, or ajebo, which is another word for a sports rich kid. Additionally, Nollywood movies like Osofia in London and Aki and Bobo, or reality TV shows like The Real Housewives of Lagos, are also quite famous. But what else? There is definitely more to a country than funny slang and movies. Although Nigerian Nollywood does rank as the second biggest movie industry in the world, right after Bollywood. But besides that, what else? Well, Nigeria has a land size of about 923,000 square kilometers. To put that in context, that is bigger than the combined land size of the UK and Ukraine and Portugal. The country also has the most populous black democracy and is the biggest economy in Africa. And by 2050, it will be among the top 10 biggest economies in the world at the rate it's going, bigger than the UK and France. And that's not all. In terms of its culture, Nigeria has such a dynamic and complex society with up to 383 tribes and dozens of languages and at least 2,000 dialects. Each tribe with their own colorful way of dressing for whatever traditional event. Even the African print fabric that is very, very commonly worn, known as Ankara, is a true art. Need I even mention the impeccable cuisines? One famous dish I'm sure some of you would have heard of would be jollof rice, but that's not all. We have various types of what we call swallows, made from cassava and plantain flour and wheat and so on, depending on the swallow. We have soups that go along with the swallows, like semo and egusi, my personal favorite, amala and ewedu stew, eba and okra soup, and others such as beans and plantain, pepper soup with catfish, native soup, and epan koko, and the Anipan from the Ibibi tribe, and afiafere. Well, you get the point. Now, I'm sure lots of you might be thinking, why did Awele come up here just to talk about her country, as if you've never heard of it or something? Why did she take out times to write interesting facts about Africa as though we don't know anything about it? Well, the answer is simple. The media and even schools tend to paint a sort of picture about Africa. Poverty, dirt, undeveloped. And it's almost as if they deliberately leave out the good parts, the value, the culture, the resources, the much needed resources that the West is somewhat dependent on. I mean, think about it, 40% of the world's gold and up to 90% of its chromium and platinum come from Africa. The coltan used in all iPhones is found mainly in Congo. Yet people live with a very wrong impression of the continent. Yes, I would say a very wrong impression indeed, one that I think should be confronted. There is so much more I could say up here, like how the first surgical procedures were performed in Egypt, formerly called Kemet, at about 3000 BC. And these procedures included the removal of tumors and the treatment of fractures. And amazingly, people survived these surgical procedures. I could even talk about the Timbuktu University in Egypt, one of the first and oldest universities in the world, dating back to the 13th century. People like Hippocrates studying medicine would actually go to that university to learn. These things aren't taught in a lot of schools. They aren't shared openly. People are given one image of a place and base their ideologies on parts of the truth, but not the full truth. And I'm here to open the view, to widen perspective, to encourage you to have an open mind. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a widely known writer, once said that when we reject the single story, when we realize that there is never a single story about any place, we regain a kind of paradise. I think it's safe to say that despite what the media, especially in the Western world, might sell to you about any place for that matter, it is the onus of the person seeing these things to do their own independent research lest they fall into the trap of ignorance. So please, I implore you, do not hold one sort of mindset about Africa that only holds the heart the bad. All countries have some level of poverty, yet no mother would tell her child who doesn't finish her food on her plate that there are poor people in the UK that go on 1 meal or less a day. It seems almost natural, especially in the Western world, to take a sort of pity on African countries, seeing them as nothing but places of despair. I'm not saying that Nigeria is perfect and everybody has a stable income and that there isn't corruption. No. I simply choose not to make that my one mindset about the place. I choose not to be ignorant of sheer reality, the reality that there is a lot of value in my country. I choose to be grateful for the life I have, but also recognize my country's worth and not look down on the poor, but help in any way I can. I choose to keep an open mind. Do you?